Welcome to Real Talk with Donna Valdes, where we dive deep into the stories of resilience, triumph, and hope from some of the most inspiring entrepreneurs, women in business, and leaders from all walks of life. Great. I'm so excited. Welcome to this week, Real Talk with Donna Valdes. That's me. And this is a series where I am interviewing entrepreneurs, women in business, leadership roles, people in the home-based business, network marketing industry, and just having those real conversations. I really felt there was a need to have just some real talk. I was just talking with our guests this week about, the rose-colored glasses and everyone's posting, unicorns and rainbows. But I just felt there was this need to get real and talk about things, the struggles, the ups, the downs, the ebbs and flows about being in business. And my guest this week, I'm excited about this one because, I think I started in network marketing in 91, 92. Anyway, I kept seeing this woman showing up, we just kind of like skated in the same circles. And then to find out we don't live that far from each other. I think we're less than 20 miles from each other. I've never seen her in person. I've never, after I think 15 years, I haven't, we've seen each other online, we've commingled in some of this, but my goodness, I'm like, I can't believe we've never connected. And so it is an incredible amount of happiness that I am bringing to the world, Paula Duncan. And again, I'm super excited. I can't even remember, Paula, where or how we first met, but welcome. And I'm super excited to have this real conversation with you. So Paula, where did we first meet?
I think that we met through Dr. Dave Kaplowitz, actually.
Oh,
back in Excel days, if you can remember that. That's actually what brought me to Florida, was that company. And we moved here in March with that company. We were just doing great things. And in October, that company went away.
wow. So I knew Kapowitz. I knew him in Excel Showcase.
Yep. Yep.
And that went on to become Unicity. Great guy. And he always made me laugh. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
He always, what an incredible sense of humor. But okay, it's always nice to know
Yeah.
how. So that's got to be 91, 92.
Yeah. So
And we were both young and in diapers, by the way.
yes, and with energy to burn.
We're both in bed by 9 p.m.
Oh, the struggle is real.
It is. That is hashtag struggle is real. Well,
Yeah.
Paula, tell everybody a little bit about. So I often will ask people, we teach how to do an elevator pitch or that 30-second commercial on your opportunity or whatever it is you're doing. But it's rare that they do it on themselves. And so I'm going to put you on the spot. And if I was to say, give me who you are and an elevator pitch on you, what would you tell me? What would you tell everyone to get a quick snapshot of who you are?
I would tell you that I am very much a visionary. I don't see things as they are at this moment. I always see things as they can be. And I think that's been a very integral part of my journey in the business, the self-employed entrepreneurship side of the world, because today is only as good as it's going to get today. Tomorrow can always be better. And we can, get up tomorrow with a fresh renew. And so I'm very visionary. I see things, when I first got involved in the industry of networking, and that company went away. I'm 3,000 miles away from any support system. And I'm thinking, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? And you really dig deep in yourself and say, what can people not take from me, and how can I continue to create? So it's always that visionary mindset that I would say Paula Duncan is known for. I'm not a quitter. I might slow down from time to time to rest. I think that's important to also know that that's okay to do that, but you never quit. You always are looking to how you can serve in the future, and how can you kind of like throw the stone in the water and create the ripple effect, right? It's not what you do right this moment that matters. It's where is it going to go in the future? So I don't know if that's what you're looking for. But yeah, that's me. I'm the visionary.
I find being a visionary is a result of survival.
Yes.
You've had to look ahead to give yourself
Mhm.
hope, and that's a
Yeah.
talent, it's a skill, especially when you've been hurt, you have to
Mhm.
believe there's something better coming. This too shall pass. So let's get
Yes.
into it. So your first company closes that, how did it make you feel? And then how did you rebound from that?
Well, I would say honestly, like I said, I didn't let any time go by without looking for my next option. Okay. As a mom, as a wife, as a now grandmother, I find also in my current teaching, what I do now or have been doing for the last decades, 2 decades now, is financial literacy. And when women are well, the family is well. I feel as women in business, we have to be and are called to be strong because there are so many in today's world, so many people that are in our families that are depending upon us. And if we crumble like a cracker, is one of my mentors over the years has said, I'll never forget that. Don't crumble like a cracker. You're stronger than that. You really don't have much choice. What is your choice? You move forward, you take a step forward, or you don't. So yeah, it was hard. But I was also raised by an entrepreneurial family. My family always had businesses in California. My dad owned multiple businesses as I was growing up. And I did see a lot of pivot and a lot of change. And that was something that was innately born in me, I think. Not necessarily born in me, but shown to me by not just the words that they spoke in our household, but the activities that were going on all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mom did the book work and dad did the outwork, and they were a team, and they had multiple businesses throughout our years, and learning to pivot. Sometimes there were changes in their businesses that had nothing to do with their ability to work. It had everything to do with the industries that they were in. And that was also something that I, as an adult, look back and say, I remember mom and dad going through that. I remember this, the oil embargo, and how that whole industry changed, and it just reduced his business to nothing. And he had to pivot and learn to create more out of those relationships. And the relationships are gold. Take away the business, but the relationships still stand, and you can rebuild with that. That's something that I've learned over the years, that if anybody's looking at this industry from a get-go, just know that is paramount. That is so, so, so important. You have to have good relationships around you and create them, and not from what you can take from it, but what you can provide to it. How are you serving that organization that you're working with, or that family member, or that whatever the situation is? You see what I mean? They don't teach us this stuff in school. They don't.
They don't. And let's talk about that, because you're passionate about financial literacy. What do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions about, well, first of all, this space is growing in spite of what people think, and they could call it network marketing, MLM, affiliate marketing, social selling, whatever label you want to slap on it. But having and buying product or services from friends or personal referrals is growing, and has been since COVID. I 100% believe it. Financial literacy has been something that I think we skate around. We don't talk about it. And you're right, it did come from school. I remember in school, I don't know, this dates me. We actually had checkbooks, and they taught us how to keep a
Yes.
checkbook, right? The
Yeah.
kids they don't even do checkbooks anymore, but we
No.
had checkbooks, and we had to do, write in when you wrote a check, write out, when it comes out. And they don't do that anymore. I find that when people start a business, online business, or whatever we're doing here, entrepreneur and based business, they start making a little bit of money. What are some of the biggest mistakes you find with especially women when they start making that money? And what advice do you have for women when they start making that little bit of money? And I'm talking like they start, they finally got their, like a decent commission, their first comma, for instance, in their commission check, right? I remember what it felt like when I had my first comma. It's like this, whoo, okay,
Wow, I can really do this. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
real, right? But what are some of the mistakes, and what advice do you have for women when they start making that first taste of success?
This is going to be a two-sided coin here, because I said I'm a visionary. I'm very proactive and positive in my thinking, but I'm also very real. And because I've gone through changes in industry, I was raised by a business member, family that was in business. I will tell you, when my dad passed away with cancer, it bankrupted both of his kids. And this was in, when I was in 40, I'm 61 now. And I said to myself, like I mentioned before, what am I supposed to learn from this? My dad made millions of dollars over his lifetime. There's no reason that in his passing, in his last 6 months of his life, he bankrupted both of his kids because of medical, because of being young, where he wasn't on Medicare. Nobody was knocking at his door as an entrepreneurial businessman saying, listen, have you thought about how to land this plane?
Why do you
And
think
that
that is? Why do you
that's
think nobody did? They just didn't talk about it?
I think that in my dad's business, he had a mobile brake business, so he was moving from, he serviced clients from place to place. And I don't know. And he worked from home. My mom did the book work from home. They had a dispatcher, and he did his thing, and he wasn't stationary. I don't know why exactly, but I know that was something that I could say when I was asking myself, what am I supposed to learn from this? How many other small businesses are out there? A lot of them, an extreme amount of them, and they're open today and they're closed tomorrow. And why are they open today and closed tomorrow? Well, it could be that somebody gets sick. It could be that somebody gets injured. It could be that an industry changes. Back in the Excel days, that was all technology. That technology industry in the telecommunications world changed like that. So we need to know that, and we need to prepare ourselves that change is inevitable, and it's always going to be there. So no matter what, good times and bad, I kind of look back at, the vows that we say when we get married, in good times and bad, in sickness and in health. Am I going to be financially secure? And how do you do that? You do it with a signature on a pen through the insurance world. And you can get upside market gains with no downside risk. You can protect yourself from chronic, critical, and terminal illnesses. You can create tax-free income streams in the future. That's another one that's huge, 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 folks. Taxes are going up. Everything is, we see the cost of living, everything that's happening I know, I'm sure you see it too. I'm in Florida. We just had this hurricane, house insurance goes up, your car insurance goes up, everything goes up and you don't control that. So just know that there are some things out of your control, and how to be prepared for that is to leverage when you are earning money, set aside, and teach yourself how to get that money growing. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you take the seed, because that little first comma, you take that seed, and then you set into place things, the habits in the future, so that you don't lose the seed, make it grow, but then protect your financial wealth and your well-being.
Yes.
Interesting. So is this something that you learned out of necessity of, if you were in bankruptcy, this new passion, was it ignited as a necessity? Like, to me, like I'll try a bunch
Absolutely.
of things and you fail forward, fail forward, fail forward.
Yeah, absolutely it was. And I was, I was seeking better options, better ways, different there, work smarter instead of harder. I was looking for not the 9 to 5, my husband worked in the gold mining industry, and now that sounds really cool, but it was killing him because of all the chemicals he was breathing and rotating shift working and all of this. Well, it's great when you're in your 20s and your 30s and you're making all that money in the industry, but then all of a sudden you start hitting 40, 45 and your body just can't do it anymore. And again, you start to create, it's kind of cliche. We talk about wisdom, right? Why do we have to have the wisdom after we go through the problem or the challenge? That's really how it is born. But if we can speak those truths, somebody might hear it and be able to have a little bit less stress in their world in the future if they can embrace it and say, okay, yes, I want to build this wall around my family that nobody can break it down. And so I think also as women, as we're out there working in the marketplace, and we're trying to, we're great at building relationships. We're great at building solid connections with people. We're great storytellers. We are great nurturers. We just tend to do that a little bit more naturally, we have an opportunity to share and plant those seeds in our children and our grandchildren and our neighbors and whatnot. I mean, if you walked around this block with me, I'd say, yeah, that's my client, that's my client, that's my client, that's my client. And how did I get those clients was by walking my dogs. I mean, honestly, that's how it started, just by one little conversation. But we need to share. And I believe that people are super hungry for that now, even with all of the fast 2-minute clips that are available on the internet. And like you said, all the smoke and mirrors that makes it look beautiful. But at the end of the day, when I walk through my neighborhood, I feel good knowing that this client is going to be okay. They're going through cancer right now, but they're not living in their car. This one is putting their kids through college because of something that I set in place for them 20 years ago, and they will have no debt. It's their choice. It's their life choice. How do they do that? This one over here has a secondary tax-free income stream. This one, do you see what I mean? It fires my soul to know that I have helped someone not only for today, but for tomorrow and for generations to come.
It's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually really incredible when you think about the impact. The things that you're doing today are not just affecting you, but they're affecting them long after, this moment has passed. So yeah, that's actually a perfect fit for what you were talking about at the beginning, being a visionary. You can lay it out and you could see it. What if someone doesn't know where to begin? So we're talking mostly insurances. We're talking mostly, like, okay, I'm not talking network marketing. I'm just saying like that wall. Where does someone begin to lay that first brick? What would be your recommendation?
Well, any time to create that habit, I'll just throw this back because maybe my grandkids will hear this someday. I just had my grandkids here for a month and they were 15 and 17. And my whole plan, I had it laid out, everything that I wanted to teach them while they were here, not only through my words, but through my actions. And the first thing was make your bed every day. And people, what does that have to do with financial literacy? It has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with it. It creates a habit that you can feel good about, because when you walk in that room, you're like, that looks nice. It's not just a mess, right? We are constantly trying to put out fires rather than creating the plan. And so we want to start with that plan, very simply, like making the bed every day, something that you can control. So if you're earning that first commission check, take 10% of it, take 20% of it and set it aside. Pay yourself first. Okay. And when you pay yourself first, where are you going to put that money? Don't just sit it in a savings account where it can go out. We're going to start to teach you then how to take that 10% or 20% and leverage it to make it worth 100 times what it's worth, and start building that habit. And then there's all kinds of different ways that you can make money and grow money and leverage money. Real estate is a great one. I personally am not involved in that industry. I have built my wealth through insurance, and it's just one of the ways, but it's a foundational way to be able to get out there in the marketplace and do your work every day and not worry about if I get in a car accident and don't make it home, are my kids going to be okay? Am I going to be, plan completion? What do I want to do for the future? I want to send my kids to college. I want to, when I retire, I want to be able to travel. I want whatever that dream is, but start laying out that roadmap. And the very first thing is to start by that habit, creating the habit. Instead of saying, well, I just made a little extra money, let me go shopping and buy a new outfit. Start training your brain needs and wants, needs and wants.
I mean, if you haven't done it, I see making your bed is a good place to that's the first step. I
It
like
sounds silly, right?
Yeah.
It sounds silly, but it starts to get your brain working in that. And that's something my grandmother taught me how many years ago?
Yeah. Well, it's no different than any other habit, whether we get dressed in the morning or brush your teeth in the morning or whatever your morning rituals or your AKA habits are, So I think that's a good place to start. I find interesting, insurance is always something that it has this negative, I mean, in Florida, it's like has a negative connotation, like, oh, you have to have insurance. It's not something you want to have, especially in today's financial times. I want you to just take a moment, and for someone who thinks they really, whether it's life insurance or whether it's any other kind of, like I have multiple different insurance policies, obviously. In Florida, it's required, especially we also have a construction company. We have to have general
Yes.
liability
Yep.
insurance. We
Yep.
have to
Yep.
have,
Yep.
your car insurance at a certain amount.
Yeah.
But I think like when it comes to some of those more precious insurances like life insurance, or, some of the others that you obviously are more equipped to answer, what do you say to someone who says, this isn't for me, or I'd rather spend that premium and go do something else? Like, I find those that don't need it are the ones that end up actually wishing they had it when they needed it,
Yes. And I feel like education is key, having those heart to heart conversations with individuals, and nobody wants to be told what to do. I mean, let's face it, we're all humans, we're all adults. Well, you can't tell me that's what I have to do. And I understand that. But if I can help people do what they want to do in the future, does that make sense? Visionary, being able to look at their future 10 years from now, 20 years, 30 years from now. What do you see that you want to have happen in your future? Well, I want to retire. When I retire, I want to travel. Okay, well, let's talk about what that cost is going to be. Do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower in the future? Well, probably higher. Yes. So do you feel like a tax-free income stream is going to be important? Yes. If I'm talking about small business owners, there's an amazing product. If anybody is a business owner out there that might be listening, please reach out, and I'm happy to send you a clip on this particular product. But people talk about 401ks. Well, my company matches. Well, how about if I could show you a 3-to-1 match with chronic, critical, and terminal illness protection, and no downside if the market goes to pot?
Yeah. Then you got somebody's attention. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you have somebody's attention. So just understanding who is that individual that you're having a conversation with. It all starts with relationships. This is where I'm kind of old fashioned. I build my business fast, slowly. More conversations are going to get you, the more people you help, the more and whether it's the insurance business, or it's, the widget, or the, solar, or whatever the product is that you are marketing out there, it still is all about relationships. And when the timing is right, those conversations will be had. But to get back to your point, Donna, sometimes I've had situations, for instance, and this is a classic, and I have lots of videos that I've done with this gentleman over my period of my work with him. He heard me speak at a group, at a organization. And then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, and this was back in, I'm going to say 2008, 9, he was in the real estate business and everything crashed. And all of a sudden, they're scrambling, trying to do some things. And he heard me speak about upside market gain with no downside risk. And he comes back to me 2 years later and he said, "Are you still doing that stuff with money?" I said, "Yes." He says, "Well, I have some now and I want to put it somewhere safe. Can you help me?" So we put a contract in place for him. And then it was another 10 years. And the guy was, super preferred at the time the contract was put in place. He was super preferred. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call from his wife on Christmas Eve day and said, he's in the hospital. He just had a quadruple bypass surgery and he's really in tough shape right now. We're not sure if he's going to make it. And I said, "Okay, well, just know, we're going to put a claim. We're going to do what we need to do here. And just, I got you. Well, to help you with this process." So that was one less thing she had to worry about, right? Because
yeah, who wants to have all that, right?
Right.
He's full.
How am I going to pay my mortgage tomorrow or next week or whatever? So long story short, he did recover. But because of the chronic, critical, and terminal protection on this contract that we put in place for him, they came back with 3 different offers. He was able to take a portion of the money of the life insurance as a living benefit. They paid off their mortgage. They did some things that they wanted to do, and he was able to stop working so darn hard, and kind of enjoy life a little bit there. And 3 years later, he actually passed away with esophageal cancer. And so, although it seems sad, and it is, but none of us are going to get out of here alive. But just think of the devastation that we eliminated by having these things in place. the family will continue on and they will be fine financially because of the seed that he planted before. And it wasn't just the small amount of money he put in place, but how the insurance, the value of it. So this much creates this much. Telling stories, I believe, can touch people much more. And I think in my industry, many people in this industry never deliver a claim. They're just in it for making a commission. But when you deliver a claim like that, it goes from commission to mission. And I think when I started my industry, I lost 2 parents within a 3-year period. My mom had a heart attack. It was stress related, I'm sure. And secondly, my dad had cancer that ended up bankrupting the family. So the mission to me was always from day one. What can I learn to keep people from dealing with these kinds of stresses when we know inevitably none of us are getting out alive? We just don't know how it's going to end. But when we're done, when our time on this earth is over, what have we left behind? What is the ripple effect? And that's my visionary. That's my mission. That's what gets me up every day. It's not about me. It's about how can we, like you said, teach people to survive, right?
That's powerful. Okay. How many income streams do you have right now? Just give me a number.
7.
Wow. Wow. And it obviously wasn't an overnight success, right? It took some time to get those 7 up and running.
Yes. I'm going to say 6 of them are in the same industry, but different niches in the same industry. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
There are different demographics, different niches in the insurance world. They're all in the financial arena, but it's just like, if I was in the car business and you came to me and you pulled up in a cute little sports car and I tried to sell you a minivan, it's it's not, you're not interested in that. So know your audience and be able to say yes to your clients. That's my motto as well. Yes, I can help you with that.
That's pretty cool. I was just thinking, you had me thinking, when's the last time I saw a minivan? Remember, they used to be everywhere 5, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And now you see a lot of SUVs. Interesting. Yeah. All right. So how does someone, I think you've opened up a lot of eyes about being prepared, making the plan. And if someone doesn't know how to make the plan, they can obviously reach out to you. What's the best way to connect? And we'll put links in this podcast in the description and all, but how does someone reach out to you? Because I think you're pretty amazing anyway to get to know. I'm assuming on your socials, you probably share a lot of information. You do some education. How does someone connect with you?
Well, like I said, I'm kind of old fashioned, so the phone is always good. Text is, if you get my voicemail, text me. I will answer your message. Okay. It's not, my social sites are Smart Money Now. You can find me there. You can find me on Paula Duncan, just regular Facebook on my personal page. If you want to kind of get to know the crazy person that is a dachshund lover and has, those crazy little tenacious little dogs that are, some people love them, some people hate them, but they are my heart for sure. Just reach out, and let's have a conversation. That's the most important thing. Just start having the conversation. If you are with an organization such as, for instance, I do some coaching for single moms with an organization called Hearts for Moms that really is, budgeting and teaching them how to start, right? Because especially for single moms, it's not just about earning the dollar. It's about how do I protect these children? These are, if something happens to me, how am I going to, how is my legacy, the wishes that I have for my children going to carry on? How am I going to put my kids through college? How am I going to be able to, so all those things. And it also, especially for single parents, puts your mind at ease when you're out there working all day. Have you ever had something, Donna, that just was like on you, like you couldn't shake it, like felt heavy, like there was something that just was this weight? Mm-hmm. And I think especially for women, that has to do with caring for our children and our spouses and our, generational legacy. How do we get that peace of mind so we sleep well at night, so that we're able to do our best job during the day, so we're able to, and that all starts with balancing the checkbook, writing a budget, right? And I start with these young women and I'll say, listen, We're going to talk about budgets today, but I want you to understand that a budget is not restrictive. A budget is whatever you want to make it. And I had one mom we were going through her expenses, and she says she has a personal trainer, and she said, oh, and honestly, when I looked at what she was paying for this personal trainer, I thought it was a little bit high, but she said, oh no, I have to have that. This keeps me going, I said, okay, this is a need. This isn't a want, this is a need, and we're going to create the budget to work around that. So learning that basic step, again, they just don't teach it in school. And yes, online, you have all these things that are banks now. All Bank of America has some great financial literacy stuff out there. Wells Fargo does. There's all kinds of stuff online, all kinds of little budgeting tools and pie charts, and to show you how to do your, where your expenses are. But how many people ever really look at those?
Yeah. Well, it's almost like it's not financial literacy as it is financial accountability
and awareness.
I love that. I love that.
So I also teach people, just like making their bed every morning, check your bank balance every day. Look at it every day.
Scary or not, don't be in. And that's what I would tell people is don't be scared until you're excited. Like keep working so you're not scared until you are excited to see it, So I think it's fantastic advice. I do.
Yeah. Sticking your head in the sand doesn't help anybody.
No.
Certainly not.
It's not going to go away. It's not going to be, and money is so fluid anyway. If people don't understand the law of money, it's so fluid because your bank account will never be the same. I don't care if you try to stick your hand, your head in the sand, it will not be the same. So I think you're onto something. I think your services are very needed, but I think your experience and your coaching is needed more, especially because I know a lot of friends who make a lot of money and they're broke. I see a lot of successful people a very good friend who did not have end of life in prepared and was, you would think because she had it all together, she was making boatloads of money, but ended up passing and didn't even have a will, did not have a trust even. She did not have anything set up, and it was a mess, a huge mess. And
we all think it's not going to happen to us. I'll be here. It's not going to happen to me. And like I said, none of us know when our time is up, and none of us know how we're going to go. None of us know if it's, tomorrow or next week. We don't know. So
it's a loving gesture. I think it's just a loving gesture that you can do for you get to have the help, you get the structure. And, I do think back to my friend and how, because she wasn't prepared, it caused so much drama. I've had family members die without any plan, without anything. And it's nothing but drama and hurt feelings. And it just causes so much grief and misery that could have been avoided. And like you said, we're not leaving here. Everyone's path is the same. We all are going to pass. We just don't know when. So I think it's very valuable, but I think your education and your knowledge is more valuable. So I encourage you, just keep, being as loud as you can, because I think a lot of women don't even know what to do, where to go, what's the first step. It's overwhelming. I mean, we're trying to get day by day. We're just trying to keep the bills paid. To think of adding is like, I can see where it would stress the crap out of someone trying to figure out, well, I know it's good for me. I know it's going to protect my family. I know it's going to help my children, but I don't even know where to begin. So I'm so glad you're letting people know it could start with just a phone call, just make a relationship. And I think that's the saving grace. That is the saving grace.
I think the big misconception for people too, is that they think that things are going to cost a lot of money, and they really don't. I mean, I wrote $1 million contract for a single mom for $25 a month.
Wow. That's incredible.
So again, they are walking around with this stress on their shoulders. I mean, they can't take their kids to McDonald's for lunch for $25 anymore. To take that stress off them, because it's in the back of their mind. I'm fearful. I don't know what's going to happen. What about my kids? What have you? That's sitting on their shoulders. So if we can release that stress, and when they're young, they're healthy, they're in good, it's pennies a day. But people don't do it because they think it's going to be terribly expensive. But what we want to do is set a plan in motion to protect right now, today, And then we can look at some other options as you get your base under your feet. We start working on your budgeting. We start teaching you how to grow money. We start teaching you how to earn more money, how to leverage your time, how to create a team, a business. You know what I'm saying? That the more people that are working with you, the more your income comes in. That's what networking is all about.
That's
Right?
beautiful.
So-
Listen, y'all, if you guys are listening to this, find her. I'll put her website in our, but find her just for your own peace of mind and get the knowledge, make your own decision. I think it's almost, I don't look at it like an investment in your future. I look at it like an investment in the generations you're leaving behind, you know? And so I would strongly recommend the financial literacy part of it is essential, especially in today's day and age. If you have any online business, multiple businesses, brick and mortar businesses, any entrepreneur out there, women-led, I've known Paula, you know, like I said, we've known of each other. She has an incredible, stellar reputation. Otherwise, she wouldn't be here. I just encourage you to reach out to her. And I don't make a penny from it, but I'm happy that the audience will be in good hands. And that's what means more to me. So, Paula, thank you so much for taking the time and just sharing a little bit about your passion. It's something I think, like I said, I think it's almost like the worst kept needed secret that needs to be spoken about a little bit more. So I appreciate your time. I'm grateful that you got to spend a little bit of time with everybody and just sharing them and educating them on the importance of insurance and financial literacy as a whole. I mean, if you don't know, here's what I do know. It's always about money. Always. It's always about money. And if you don't know how to play the game, you're going to be gamed. I mean, that's just the way it is. And lucky for you, you know the loopholes, you know the tips, you know you know how to move those chess pieces around to benefit who you're working with, and that is brilliant.
And it's not a decision that is made today that stays the same for the future. I mean, you hope that, like I said, if someone is in a starting position, then we can, you know, we do conversations at least once a year, if not, to see what's going on. You know, how's your business growing? What's going on? You know, the more money I make, the more insurance I buy. Why? Because it's not about just that dollar. It's about how can that dollar blossom and grow. And then when I do pass away, there is no concern about a will or a trust or anything. And there's a beneficiary named and it goes right to them, tax free. What?
I love it. I love it. Thank you. I appreciate you so much, everybody. You can find her, reach out to her. I promise it'll be a phone call. Not only will make you a lot of money, it'll save you a ton of money. So thank you, Paula. Thank you.
I appreciate you having me on, Donna. And listen, we do need to have coffee someday, real soon. I love Indian Rocks. I'll be over a couple days. As soon as the waters recede, right?
Right. I know.